In early 1944, the US war in the Pacific was accelerating, island by island, reef by reef. Next on the map was a speck called Eniwetok, a lagoon wide enough to hide a fleet and close enough to open the road to Japan. Commanders expected light resistance. They were wrong. When the Marines landed, the sand exploded beneath them. Machine guns cut through the surf, tanks buried to their turrets spat fire, and every yard of coral hid another defender. By nightfall, the beach had grown silent. Too silent. In the darkness, the enemy came back. After the costly lessons of Tarawa and the swift capture of Kwajalein, Admiral Chester Nimitz sought to push deeper into the Marshall Islands. Initially, Eniwetok was considered a backwater, manned by perhaps 700 Japanese troops. That assessment proved dangerously optimistic. Following Kwajalein's fall, US scouts discovered that Tokyo had rushed reinforcements. Major General Yoshimi Nishida's 1st Amphibious Brigade, roughly 3,400 men, now fortified the atoll. These were veterans from some earlier campaigns, and they were dug into caves, trenches, and pillboxes with orders to hold to the last man. The American timetable shifted overnight. Instead of a May invasion, Nimitz ordered a February strike to preempt further reinforcement. The attack would be improvised with units available at Kwajalein. Brigadier General Thomas Watson's 22nd Marine Regiment and Colonel Russell Ayer's 106th Infantry Regiment of the Army's 27th Division were stationed there. Neither had extensive amphibious training, yet in barely 2 weeks they were reorganized into Tactical Group 1 under Rear Admiral Harry Hill. US Navy battleships and carriers moved into position by mid-February. The plan was simple: seize outlying islets, then strike the 3 key objectives: Engebi in the north with its airstrip, the larger Eniwetok Island in the south, and Parry Island in the east. The Marshalls had become a proving ground for America's fast-learning amphibious doctrine. On the morning of February 17, 1944, the lagoon erupted in thunder. American battleships and cruisers unleashed a 2-day bombardment, firing nearly 944 tons of shells onto Engebi, Eniwetok, and Parry. Palm trees disintegrated into matchsticks, bunkers collapsed, and geysers of coral spouted skyward. Yet in tunnels and spider holes, Japanese troops endured. A diary found later captured their torment. There were some who were buried by shells from the ships, but we survived. How many times must we bury ourselves in the sand? During the shelling, reconnaissance Marines slipped ashore on smaller islets. They captured 1 enemy soldier, evacuated native civilians, and secured gun positions to ring the lagoon. By dusk, 5 islands were in US hands, their artillery already pounding the main objectives. Despite the devastation, the bombardment was not the end. Japanese troops played dead, waiting for the Marines to land. Survivors of other Pacific battles knew what was coming. On the beaches, pillboxes were hidden beneath camouflage, spider holes linked by tunnels, and even obsolete tanks were buried as bunkers. For the attackers, the lagoon's still waters seemed deceptively calm. In reality, every yard of sand concealed steel, gunpowder, and fanatical defenders. As night fell on the 17th, US commanders finalized the plan. Engebi would be assaulted first at dawn. Colonel John Walker's Marines would lead, supported by Sherman's and self-propelled guns. The Americans had firepower, but the Japanese had time, cunning, and the will to fight to the very end. At 8:44 a.m. on February 18th, the first waves of the 22nd Marines struck Engebi. Richard Wilcox of Life magazine came ashore with them. We sprinted low through the surf and dropped flat on the coral sand. Around us, men fell, their green battle dress soaked black with blood. A pillbox, missed by bombardment, scythed the beach with fire. Marines crawled forward, hurling grenades until the bunker fell silent. The fight inland revealed Engebi's lethal design. Tunnels fashioned from fuel drums connected dozens of spider holes. Enemy riflemen appeared and vanished, slipping through the earth itself. Marines devised brutal counters. Smoke grenades to reveal tunnels, then demolitions to collapse them. On the airfield, Marine Shermans blasted Japanese light tanks buried as pillboxes. By 10:30 a.m., the stars and stripes flew above the shattered strip. Yet Engebi was not done. That night, Japanese infiltrators crawled among the foxholes with grenades and bayonets. Corporal Anthony P. D'Amato, huddled with 2 comrades, saw a grenade drop into their pit. He threw himself onto it, absorbing the explosion with his body. His sacrifice saved the others and earned him the Medal of Honor. Lieutenant Cord Meyer later recalled, "They crept in among us. In the morning they all lay about, some inside our foxholes. Never have I been so glad to see the sun." By February 19th, Engebi was secured at a terrible cost. Marines had cleared the 1.5-mile island in hours, but the price was measured in blood. The Japanese garrison was annihilated. The airstrip was silent at last. On February 19th, the Army's 106th Infantry landed on Eniwetok Island. A 9-foot embankment halted their tractors, forcing troops to wade ashore under fire. In the jungle, Lieutenant Colonel Hashida's men lay in wait. By midday, 400 Japanese surged forward in a coordinated counterattack. Shocked American lines faltered until Lieutenant Arthur Klein stood tall, waving his carbine, threatening to shoot anyone who ran away, adding, "You're all American soldiers, show some guts!" His fury steadied the men. Machine guns cut down the charge, leaving heaps of bodies in the brush. By nightfall, Marines of 322 reinforced the exhausted soldiers. The attacks continued until dawn, but on February 20th, Eniwetok Island was declared secure. Now, only Parry Island remained. For 2 more days, naval guns and aircraft reduced it to rubble, dropping over 1,300 tons of shells and bombs. On February 22nd, the Marines stormed ashore. Resistance was fierce but fragmented. Bulldozers buried spider holes under tons of sand, Shermans blasted bunkers, and flamethrowers cleared caves. At one point, 3 Japanese light tanks erupted from concealment in a surprise counterattack. Within minutes, Marine Sherman destroyed them, flames and black smoke marking their graves. A bizarre moment came when a column of nearly 200 Japanese emerged from the reef, marching single file back toward their defenses. Unaware Marines were watching, they were cut down in a storm of gunfire. By evening, Parry was effectively conquered. Major General Nishida was found the next morning, having fulfilled his vow to fight to the end. The brigade he commanded had been wiped out almost to the last man. The Battle of Eniwetok lasted 6 days. American losses totaled over 1,000 casualties, 313 fallen, 879 wounded. Japanese casualties were staggering, more than 3,300 lost, and only 105 captured, most of them non-combatants. Strategically, the victory was profound. The lagoon became a forward anchorage, soon crowded with carriers and battleships. New airfields on Engebi and Eniwetok hosted bombers and fighters that would support the Marianas campaign. The success of the battle was what allowed Nimitz to skip Truk, once feared as Japan's Pearl Harbor of the Pacific, and leaped directly towards Saipan and Guam. For the men who fought there, the memories lingered. Lieutenant Cord Meyer remembered the aftermath. We just sat and stared at the sand. There was not much jubilation. Most of us thought of those who were gone, those whom I shall remember as always young, smiling, and graceful. And I shall try to forget how they looked at the end. Eniwetok was not as famous as Tarawa or Iwo Jima, yet it was pivotal. It demonstrated that American joint operations had matured, that firepower and coordination could overcome even fanatical resistance. The coral sands were bought at a brutal price, but the outer ring of Japan's defenses was broken. From Eniwetok, the road to the Marianas, and ultimately to Japan itself, lay open.